Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here at Toilets to Titles of our 2022 draft class review. And this morning, this beautiful Sunday morning, Father's Day, I am reviewing the Atlanta Falcons for you, for everyone who's an NFL fan, but especially for you, the Atlanta Falcons fans. And happy Father's Day, by the way, to all us dads, all you dads out there. Happy Father's Day. This is our day. Let's enjoy it. Let's make our families do what we want to do. Don't be afraid to make them do whatever you want to do. Tonight we're actually going to Outback. I want to get a great steak, and I'm going to drag my family to see the new Top Gun with me. I grew up in the 1980s. I got to see it at least for the aerials, at least for the aerial shots. So I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, so I'm going to be reviewing the Atlanta Falcons draft class. I'm really excited to do this. The Falcons, I'm impressed with what you're doing. This is a team that's obviously in a rebuild, but you're not reaching for quarterbacks. You're not, taking quarterbacks you don't believe in. You're not early on in the draft. You're not making crazy trades for veteran quarterbacks out there when you're not really ready for that. So I like your approach. I like what you're doing. Before we get into the draft class, though, real quick, let me just get the bells and whistles out of the way. If you can, hit that like button, hit that like button and subscribe. Give us the 5-star Apple review if you got the time. We'd greatly appreciate it. It helps our metrics out a lot when you can do that. Where you can find the show: Apple Podcast, YouTube, um, Podbean, Spotify, Facebook, where we have two pages. One, of course, is Toilets to Titles, and the other is When a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. And you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles, where you can learn how you can further support the show. And we have a great website, toiletstotitles.com. It has all of our videos, articles. We put out tons of fantasy football content, NFL, NCAA, and NFL draft content. Check it out. It is a lot of fun. We've got like 15 to 18 contributors here now, Toilets and Titles. We all bring something to the table, whether it's videos or articles or both. So check it out. It's a great website. I'm really into it. Now, let's get into our Falcons draft class review. And we're kicking it off with Drake London, wide receiver out of USC. You took him round one. I think it was pick 8. I think you took him, right? Now, this guy, it's funny because I know a lot of people were thinking, and it would have made sense that you were going to take a quarterback here, right? You didn't have to move up in the slot to take a quarterback. You had your choice of quarterbacks, whether it's Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, whoever it is, right? But you didn't do that, and you made the right move because this was not a good QB draft. I mean, Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback who went in the first round. I think he was worthy of it. Pittsburgh wound up taking him, I think, at pick 20, and I think that was worthy. I think that was fine with them taking Kenny Pickett. You guys, your front office definitely felt obviously that there weren't any quarterbacks worthy of the number 8 pick. I think rightfully so, and so you didn't panic. You didn't take any quarterbacks. You took Drake London, and you're pairing this guy with Kenny Pitts. Drake London is probably just coming out of the draft, probably the most exciting, in my opinion, the most exciting wide receiver in this draft. This dude has got those intangibles that you can't teach. He's got the size. I wouldn't say he's got the speed. He's fast. There really aren't any slow wide receivers out there. All right, let's be honest. He's not a burner, but he's got speed. But this guy is most known for his height and his physicality. He's 6'4", 219 pounds. That is huge for a wide receiver. This guy had last year, he had in only 8 starts last year, because he got injured at the end of the year last year. In only 8 starts in 2021 at USC, he had 88 receptions for 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns. And again, that was only in 8 starts. Those are really impressive numbers. The guy probably would have projected out to like 1,500 yards over a full season and probably like, I don't know, like 11 or 12 touchdowns. So really impressive. This guy is known as again, as I have in my notes, he's got elite size, length, body control, and his vertical is awesome. This guy is like an aerial stud. All right, so he's known as like a 50-50 guy. And I'm a big fan of 50-50 guys when they're really, especially this size, 6'4", 219 pounds. But he's not your normal big guy. Those guys usually just kind of go up, kind of like they're going for a rebound, and it's a 50-50. This guy is like an aerial specialist. This guy gets up high. He's got great body control in the air. He's really good at tracking the ball, as I have in my notes here. Pro tracking ability. This guy's tracking the ball ability is already NFL caliber. He's excellent. I'd say it's elite actually for the NFL already. So this guy's like when he's going up for a contested catch, it's really not 50-50. It's probably more like 70-30 in his favor. So you can have an inaccurate quarterback who throws it up, and I don't think you have too much to worry about because this guy catches pretty much everything. And when he's going up for the ball, like I said, not too many cornerbacks are going to have a chance against his size, his physicality, and his ability in the air. This guy jumps high, and his body contortion is awesome in the air. It's fun to watch. It really is. He's really, really fun to watch. And this guy is excellent as a slot receiver. He's going to be playing mostly on the outside, but in this day and age, they're playing wide receivers all over the place. And this guy is proven. He proved in college to be an effective slot receiver as well. So he's got great ability. He gives you a lot of flexibility as a wide receiver. You're going to be pairing this guy up with Kyle Pitts, and holy cow, you guys are when you get that, franchise quarterback, which you may have gotten. We're going to get to in a little bit. You may have gotten it, but when you get a franchise quarterback, um, it's going to be lights out with this offense because you have an elite tight end. I think you got yourselves an elite wide receiver here, someone who's going to develop into being an elite wide receiver. I think that's Drake London. So when you get that quarterback, you're going to be ready to rock and roll. But Drake London, even this year with I believe Marcus Mariota, I think he's your starting quarterback. He's NFL caliber. Obviously he's not someone you're building your franchise around, but he's going to give you, he's going to keep you in games this year, I think, and he's going to give he's going to give your young weapons like London and Pitts a chance to succeed because he knows the game. He's had success. Not the best quarterback, but he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So he's going to help these guys grow, and I'm really excited to see how Drake London develops. I think you guys got yourself a great wide receiver here. And I think here at Toss the Titles, I think Drake London was probably like the consensus. Well, I don't know about consensus number one, but many of us were really, really high on this guy. So kudos to you guys. You got the first wide receiver in this draft taken off the board, Drake London. Really looking forward to seeing how this guy progresses. Round two. Okay, round two. Arnold Ebiketie, or is it Ebiketie? No, Ebiketie. Arnold Ebiketie, edge out of Penn State. Now, me myself, Penn State is one of the programs that I can't say that I'm really a fan of, but kind of like one of the teams that I root for, and I am partial in favor of Penn State talent. I think they come with, first of all, talent, and second of all, with attitude. I like them a lot, and I think they tend to be more NFL ready than other programs. Now, I wouldn't say that about Ebiketie. This guy's got some growth to do. He's got good size. He is an edge. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. Those numbers don't stand out. They don't stand out. They're not bad. This guy's got obviously he's young. He's got room for more growth on his body, and he's a little raw too. But you got a guy with a lot of upside here in the second round, and this was a good edge class. It was top heavy as we saw in the early part of the first round. We had some, basically what the first five picks I think were defensive on the defensive side of the ball, including a few edge rushers. And you got Ebiketie here, in the second round. There was good depth in the second, third rounds, even the later rounds too. Arnold Ebiketie, really excited about this guy. Last year he had, I think he was a transfer from Temple, and I think last year, unless I'm thinking of someone else, I think he was a transfer from Temple, and last year, I think was his only year at Penn State. What did he do? He put up 18 tackles for loss. So that's 18 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, 9.5 sacks, two forced fumbles, and he had two block kicks in 21. So this guy is, first of all, off the bat, he should be a nice contributor on special teams. Um, I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have his rookie year. I do think this guy is raw and he's got a lot of growing to do. But I think you got a really nice unpolished gem that you can work with here. And his numbers last year at Penn State were really damn good. 18 tackles for loss is really impressive. And the 9.5 sacks, damn. I mean, Penn State plays an aggressive defense, and that's why they've been putting out some really good defensive players out of the draft recently. They play an aggressive defense. Ebiketie was a big part of last year's success on the defense. And Penn State, of course, like they've been for the past few years, they were one of the better NCAA programs last year overall. Good team. He is a good rusher with nice length, and as pointed out, 9.5 sacks. I do think he's going to, at the very least, I think this guy is going to be a three down outside linebacker. I think that's his floor, like three down starter, outside linebacker, with nice potential as a pass rusher. Uh, I think his ceiling is really good pass rusher, but I think at the very least you're looking at a guy who is going to be a three down OLB. But I think this guy could wind up being, maybe not this year, but a little down the road, a pass rushing menace. So you got this in the second round. I like the value a lot. I really, really do. Okay, you had a second round pick, Troy Anderson, linebacker out of Montana State. This guy was interesting. This guy was interesting because he wasn't really on too many people's radar early on in the draft process, say like, January, February. And then you had the Senior Bowl. And this guy apparently really, I remember reading about it during Senior Bowl week. This is one of the standouts at Senior Bowl week. I'm not really sure how he performed in the Senior Bowl itself, but the coaches apparently were really, really impressed with him. He was already known as a guy who was a run stuffer, and then they were asking him to play more in pass protection, and apparently he was awesome. He was just rocking the house. Coaches were really impressed. So, me myself, just to be honest, I'm not crapping on this pick at all. Troy Anderson really intrigued me, and but this guy was, but him going in the second round, I wasn't surprised by it. I thought he was more of a third round talent, just given that he's from Montana State as well. That kind of worried me a little bit, just a little bit. But I wasn't surprised he went in the second round because I assumed there was going to be a team that fell in love with this guy, or teams that fell in love with this guy and took him in the second round. So what I was trying to say is that I think he was more of like a third round value, or a lot of upside, but the floor kind of scares me a little bit. But this guy's got serious upside, and so I thought maybe third round, but you took him in the second round. Wasn't surprised because I figured there would be teams that fell in love with this guy and who were going to take him. And before I go any further, I got a comment here. Jared Gray, Anderson. Jared Gray, how are you, my friend? Jared Gray, I think he's probably saying he's a big Anderson fan. I think that's what he's probably saying. Is one of our new contributors, one of our new great contributors here at Toss the Titles. This guy has been bringing the heat on all different types of episodes. And this guy, Jared Gray, he's one of our in-house NCAA specialists. And he's got a Friday night show, P2P, Pots to, what is it called again? Jared, remind me. Is it P2P? Is it Pots to Titles? Or is it, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, it's P2P Friday nights. It's basically NCAA talk. Check it out. Jared's program here at Toss the Titles is awesome. Anyway, Troy Anderson, linebacker, Montana State, 6'3", 243 pounds. The dude ran a 4.42 40 yard. Okay, now usually that's really impressive for a linebacker. I normally don't put a 40-yard dash in for defensive players unless they're a cornerback, but 4.42 for a linebacker is really, really impressive. So I had to put it in there. So the guy's got speed. What's really impressive about Troy Anderson is that in college he was playing running back, quarterback, and linebacker. And I think last year he actually started in 2021. I think he actually started on both sides of the ball in 3 games. So he was mostly defensive. He was a starting linebacker throughout, but I think he was also a starting running back in 3 games last year for Montana. This guy is a football player. He knows football. He has incredibly high football IQ. He was the conference D player for his conference. He was the defensive player of the year in 2021 with 147 tackles. He's got a nonstop motor, very high football IQ. I think he's a future three-down linebacker starter. I don't know if that's going to be this year. I think he's got development to do, and the leap from Montana State to the NFL, I think is a bit of a big one. So it's going to take him some time. But this guy's football IQ is off the charts. And so I think you're looking at a guy who is going to be a three-down linebacker. I believe in Troy Anderson. I really do. I like this guy a lot. He's not someone that was really asked to play in pass protection in college, but I think he's got it in him. And when you look at a guy who's played quarterback and running back and linebacker in college, and I don't care what the program was, that guy screams football player to me. He knows the game. I really believe in this pick. I like this guy a lot, and that's why I'm saying I wasn't surprised that at least one team was interested in him in the second round. This guy is a football player. Okay, let's move on. Desmond Ritter, quarterback, Cincinnati, third round. Now, you got a potential franchise quarterback here. A lot of us here at Toss the Titles, we like Desmond Ritter a lot. Me, myself, I wasn't very high on him. I wasn't really high on any of the quarterbacks in this class. They all scared me. But when you're talking third round, bingo, here you go. You took Desmond Ritter, I think a guy who's got a really nice ceiling, and from Cincinnati he had a great career in Cincinnati. The guy's 6'3", 211 pounds. He is this guy can move outside the pocket. He's quick. He ran a 4.52 40-yard dash. His college career in Cincinnati, 115 touchdowns in 4 years, and that's 87 passing, 28 run. Okay, so in 4 years at Cincinnati as a starter, he put up 115 touchdowns, and that's consisted of 87 passing touchdowns, 28 run touchdowns. He was a two-time conference offensive player of the year while at Cincinnati. He's got nice mechanics. He is a smart quarterback. He is a quick processor. He was also a captain of the team, at least once, maybe twice. Now this guy does have, as of right now, some limitations. He's not known for his accuracy and is not known for his arm strength. But those are two things that can improve. And he's going to be playing in a dome as well, so which is going to be very favorable to him. So Desmond Ritter, you got a guy here who's got some really really good stuff to work with, and arm strength can be improved. Accuracy can be improved. I think a lot of accuracy just improvement just comes with, he's got good mechanics, but a lot of times accuracy just comes with just becoming more familiar with the NFL game, becoming more familiar with your own team's offense. Just getting on the same page with the players that you have. And if you have some really good talent like he's going to have with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and maybe a few others, it's going to improve your accuracy because these guys are, going to be better at getting open and fighting for that ball. So I think you got something really impressive to work with here in the third round pick with Desmond Ritter, and I'm excited to see this guy. I really am. I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting at some point this year. I would assume Mariota is going to be the starter to kick off the year, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think Ritter needs some time, but I think I've been reading a lot of good things coming out of the Falcons camp um, for on Desmond Ritter, that they seem to be really impressed with him, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised about that. When he's going to start, I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if it were game one, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe about like week 9, middle of the year, that he winds up starting. Maybe week 10, week 12, something like that. But I'd say sometime by the middle of the year, back end of the year, he's going to start. They're going to want to see what he's got because they're probably the overall record's probably not going to be very good this year, and they're probably looking at next year's potentially very good quarterback draft in 23. They're probably targeting that year to potentially go after a quarterback, but I think they're going to want to see what they have in Desmond Ritter at some point this year, and he's got the potential to be a quality NFL starter. He's got the potential, so I'm really excited to see how he does. Okay, moving on. You had another third round pick, Deangelo Malone, edge out of Western Kentucky. This was another guy who was a Senior Bowl stud. This is a guy who was just blowing up plays at Senior Bowl, and it really came on people's radar at that time. Round 3, Deangelo Malone, edge out of Western Kentucky, 6'3", 243 pounds. Again, like I said, like I have in my notes here, Senior Bowl standout. This guy plays with great speed. He converts speed to power. So he's can blow some guys off the line. Actually, he hits hard. So he's very quick. He's very explosive, and he converts that speed to power. Like he's this guy actually plays really fast. He's kind of fun to watch. He's got a great motor. He's going throughout the entire game. I think this guy is going to wind up being a starting 3-4 outside linebacker for you. And just like Arnold Ebiketie, I think he's going to wind up being a starting outside linebacker for you. And like Ebiketie, he's got real potential as a pass rusher. And just going from my reading on Deangelo Malone, he could also play a 4-3 linebacker. So I'm really not sure. I assume you guys run a 3-4 defense, but if not, if you run a 4-3 defense, this guy's got the speed to play as a 3-down linebacker, in my opinion, at least down the road, as 3-down linebacker, even in a 4-3 defense. So I'm really excited about the talent you guys got here in the first 3 rounds. I think you got two real potential studs. who I think their floor in Ebiketie and Malone, I think their floor is at least starting linebacker, and but they both have real potential upside as pass rushers, a serious potential upside as pass rushers. So you guys are going about, rebuilding your defense here, doing a really nice job, and I love those early round picks. Okay, you didn't have a fourth round pick, but your fifth round pick was and I always get the name wrong here. I think I'm always mispronouncing it. Tyler Algier, or is it Allgeier? Algier. I'll say Ty. I'll go with Tyler Algier, running back, BYU, 5'11", 224 pounds. This dude is big. 5'11". You don't want your running backs really too tall. They tend to be easier to tackle below. It's hard for taller guys to maintain good balance when guys are tackling you low. I think he's got good size. He's got great size. 5'11", 224 pounds. This guy, the last 2 years at BYU, he was running back at BYU. The last 2 years at BYU, he put up a combined 2,730 yards and 36 touchdowns. The last 2 years combined. Those numbers are eye-popping, really impressive. Now, he's got limitations. He was also a good kick returner for BYU. So again, special teams contributor, at least in your rookie year, you want to see that. He may be your number one running back this year, or like a 1B this year. I do think he's going to wind up, being in that conversation pretty darn quickly as your number one running back. But he's also a kick returner, so he's going to be an immediate contributor to special teams. He's got good vision. He is agile. He's agile for a big guy, and he's got good balance. Apparently, based on my research, he projects best as a zone scheme running back. I think this guy would be fine in a power run scheme. And I'm assuming Atlanta's probably going to be running a zone scheme. A lot of teams do now, and I can see that, just being their forte. But things could be changing too over the next few years. Based on, future quarterbacks that you take. But you got Desmond Ritter, and like I said, we are going to see Desmond Ritter at some point this year. You have to see what this guy's got. But it's his best fit apparently is zone scheme running back, and I assume that's what Atlanta's going to be running, and I think he's going to do just fine. But if he were to play in a power one scheme, I think this guy's got the size to do it. 5'11", 224 pounds. This guy sounds like a banger to me. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think you got yourselves a potential RB1 here in the fifth round. A lot of people are really high on him. I like him a lot too, especially in the fifth round. I like this guy a lot. But look at that production last 2 years at BYU. And BYU is a good program. BYU's been a good program for quite a few years now. They're usually one of the better teams, like in the top 15 in rankings by the end of the year now. But again, 2,730 yards, 36 touchdowns, last 2 years combined. That is impressive. Fifth round pick, I love it, especially for running back. You got serious potential here, Atlanta Falcons fans. Okay, round six, I like this pick a lot. Justin Shaffer. I think some people pronounce it as Justin Schaefer, but I have a friend whose last name is Schaefer and it's spelled with one R, so I think it's actually Justin Shaffer. So a guard out of Georgia, 6'4", 314 pounds. This guy is a mauler at left guard. I love that. Now, he went in the sixth round. He fell to the sixth round. I thought this guy could have went earlier. Fifth round, and that's being kind of nitpicky. I thought he was fifth round potential. I think even maybe fourth round, to be honest. With you. I'm a fan of this guy's game. Now, he's known as a guy who's like, he's seen as a liability in the passing game. I think it can develop. The guy already is a mauler at left guard in the running game. And he plays with that demeanor that you want from an offensive lineman. He plays mean. He plays through the whistle, not dirty, but he's trying to push his opposing defensive lineman to the ground. He's got a nice motor. He plays hard throughout the game. He's wide body. He's got the nice body for a guard. He's got girth. He's got girth. He's not fat. He's just wide. Like he's just a wide frame. Um, I like this guy a lot, especially in the sixth round. I think you have a potential starting guard here in the sixth round in Justin Shaffer. Now, is he going to start this year? I don't know. I don't know what your situation is with the offensive line in Atlanta, but I think this guy does have upside as being a potential starter for real, not pie in the sky. I think he's got legit starting potential upside. I really do. And you know what? He's coming in as a guy who's known as kind of like a run game specialist as a guard. Gives you something to work with. Maybe he's not known, to be a pass protecting guard, but at least he's coming in. You got something to work with. You got something to build off of. I like this pick a lot. So I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm not familiar with your offensive line situation in Atlanta. I don't know if you guys, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's in between. I just don't know. But at the very worst, what you got here, and we're talking sixth round anyway. At the very worst, I think you got valuable backup guard in Justin Shaffer. He's not someone who I think is going to be projecting to be like a swing tackle as well, like play guard and backup tackle. But you know what? Just having a potentially good backup guard is valuable. I don't care. I know it's all about versatility in the NFL these days. I get it. I like versatility too, but sometimes it's just good to have. It's just nice to have someone who's really good, at doing something at one position. Okay, and you know what you're getting. But Justin Shaffer, I think, does offer you um, potential starting guard down the road. I like it a lot. And your last pick in this draft, interesting. I wasn't really familiar with the guy, but you went back-to-back Georgia picks. Round six, John Fitzpatrick, tight end out of Georgia, 6'7", 250 pounds. This guy's got great height. He's got his Georgia is a run-heavy offense. They're not really known for the wide receivers. They did have George Pickens this year. Don't get me wrong, Georgia has some good wide receivers. George Pickens went this year, I think second, maybe third round. I think second round to Pittsburgh. Um, and a lot of us here, Toss and Titles, were really high on uh, on George Pickens. But Georgia is known more for their run game, their physical offense, which I'm a fan of myself. And that's what John Fitzpatrick is as a tight end. He's one of the most physical and one of the best run blockers and pass blockers in this draft class. He doesn't give you really, at least coming out of college, he's not giving you the whole combination of what you'd like to see in a tight end in terms of being an effective blocker and being at least some sort of effective receiver as well, offering something in the receiving game. But this guy is a very good run blocker, and he's got he was a good pass blocker too. But he's coming in as a very good run blocker, and he's got the athleticism, I think, to be a pretty good potential pass blocker as well. He's not a liability. He's not coming to the NFL as a liability as a pass blocker, but he's known as a monster as a blocker in the running game. So he can be fun to watch. I like maulers like that. I like mauling tight ends who are kind of like a sixth offensive lineman. And Fitzpatrick's going to give you that. He wasn't used too much in the receiving game at Georgia, but I think that's kind of reminds me of like San Diego State and Daniel Bellinger, who my team, the Giants, took in the fourth round. Like they're a run heavy offense. That's what they like to do. That's the strength of their game. And so the tight ends, they only ask so much. But like Daniel Bellinger, who went to the Giants, my Giants in the fourth round out of San Diego State, I think Fitzpatrick's got some upside. And that height alone, 6'7", that screams red zone opportunity to me, red zone targets opportunity to me, just based on his height alone. Now, does that guarantee that he's going to be, a potential red zone target, or that he's going to be a red zone target going forward? Not necessarily. You need to have some athleticism too. You do need to know how to get open, but the height alone, you know, gives you something to work with. So, and he did have, even though he wasn't used, as I say in my yellow notes here, even though he wasn't used much in the receiving game, when he was used, he did have the ability to find soft spots in the defense, when it was needed, and that's kind of what you want from a tight end. If you're not getting one of those guys who's putting up a tight end like a Kyle Pitts or some other really good receiving tight ends, if you're not getting a guy who's screaming down the seam, and terrorizing defenses that way, at least get a guy who's savvy enough to go out and find those soft spots in the D when it's required, like on a key third down or maybe in the end zone. But this guy's height alone, 6'7", that's intriguing. That's intriguing to me. But anyway, so that's my review here of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm impressed. I like that they didn't reach for a quarterback, that they weren't comfortable. You know, I don't think they're going to have a very good year, which for a rebuild is fine. Falcons fans just have to be patient. But I assume next year your record's probably not going to be very good this year, and next year you should have a legitimate shot without having to trade up future first round picks. You should have a legitimate shot at getting a really good quarterback stud coming into next year's draft class in 23. But I think you're setting up your team nicely for when you do get that potential franchise quarterback if Desmond Ritter is not the answer. Anyway, before I go, Oops, wrong one. Before I go, if you can, we've got like 15 to 18 contributors here at Tell Us the Titles. Here are the Twitter handles. If you can give them all a follow, I'd greatly appreciate it. A great bunch of guys that I work with. Really, really impressed with them all. It's just a great team to work with. And it's kind of like a family, good family over here. We're adding like new great contributors like seemingly every month now. And just a great bunch of guys. I'm actually probably missing some names here. So we're always adding, and I'm always forgetting to keep up with it. So I think I'm missing three names here. But if you can, Twitter handles, give everyone here a follow. I'd greatly appreciate it. And friendly reminder, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell, give us that 5-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. Everyone, have a great Father's Day. Enjoy the weekend. And I'll get back to you soon, I think, with either a Detroit Lions podcast. I have a special guest coming on fairly soon, sometime this week for Detroit Lions. I'm really looking forward to doing that, my Detroit Lions review, and I'll be doing Baltimore Ravens soon as well. Peace. I'll catch you all